shocker of a game, 0-0 between Chelsea and Liverpool. And that is the fourth time on the bounce that these two have played in a stalemate. And the last 20 minutes of that game is nothing short of embarrassing for both clubs, their histories, their heritages, and of course their fans. There was almost no attempt to win it the longer the game went on. The lack of clinical edge from Chelsea is a major problem. If they fell into a barrel full of boobs, they would come out sucking on their thumbs. And when it comes to Liverpool, that is another game without a goal, another game without a win. That is 4 on the bounce now with no win. 3 of their last 4 games with no goals scored. 8th position in the league, as you can see on the screen right now. 7 points away from the top 4. They have to beat Arsenal. Failure to beat Arsenal, and that's it. Season over. No trophies. An additional £150 million spent. Less than 50% of their games won. Nothing to play for at the beginning of April. It's a shocker. The starting lineup from Jurgen Klopp tonight, I don't really understand it. Maybe he's resting some players for Sunday. Maybe there was a feeling of, I'm going to punish a few people for terrible performances, the terrible display against Manchester City. But it was awful. Without Mo Salah, they don't look like they're ever going to score. They brought him in late. By the time when they brought him in, they lost all their any level of enthusiasm, any impetus, any kind of drive in the game that they had. The players are not playing for Jurgen Klopp. For me, it really is as simple and as straightforward as that. They are not playing for the man. They have had enough of him. And of course, I was cooked after the 7-0 mauling of Man United. Oh, you were wrong, Terry. You were wrong. I was ridiculed after they beat Newcastle. You're wrong, Terry. But for me, and someone in the comments says, resting for what? That's the only thing that would make any real sense, to rest that many of your top players. Unless it's a punishment. But if it's a punishment, why bring them on? That doesn't make any sense to me. But after the Newcastle and Man United wins, I was ridiculed for questioning Jurgen Klopp. Tom Little was ridiculed for questioning Jurgen Klopp. And the Klopp supporters, the FFG supporters, came out in force and said, we were right. We should have stood by this guy. No. You've got better players out there on the pitch than how you're performing. Season over at the beginning of April. And it was only given some hope by a fortuitous win against Newcastle and a shock result, an anomaly, a rocking horse shit performance against Manchester United. It's an embarrassment. And the fact that the media, journalists, the news outlets, TalkSport, the fact there isn't more pressure being put upon Jurgen Klopp, some Liverpool fans will see that as, that's good. I like the fact they're not doing it. Let's keep it that way. But it's bad for your football club. The lack of pressure on him is leading to overall complacency at your football club. At your football club. And tonight was an embarrassment. And the last 20 minutes, you might as well lose. You only gained 1 additional point for drawing. Go for it. Try and win. Against Bournemouth, the same thing. Not throwing the kitchen sink at it the later the game went on. So what if you lose 2-0? What if you concede on the break? If you'd have actually gone for both those games, all out gone for it in the last 15 minutes, you could have lost them both. And you'd have 1 less point than now. You might have won one of them. You might have drawn against Bournemouth and won today and have 4 points. And you'd be right in the race to be in the Champions League next year. It's an embarrassment. And Jurgen Klopp's job should be under massive pressure. Not just for producing that snorefest, but for the amount of money you spent, the regression, the lack of continuity. Listen, if Chelsea could score goals, and people laugh at players like Haaland for being tap-in merchants. Oh, Chelsea would have won 4-0 today with a tap-in merchant. Arsenal are going to absolutely rip Liverpool apart. I don't care that it's at Anfield. I'm going to discount this one because Arsenal are not Man United. Arsenal are at the peak of their powers. They are going to cut Liverpool limb from limb. If they give them 50% of the openings they gave Chelsea tonight, they lose by 2 or 3 goals. Facts. This Liverpool team is an absolute abomination to the football club. And I don't personally think Jurgen Klopp 100% should be sacked. I think his job should be under scrutiny. I think he should be under pressure. I think the Liverpool-based media, instead of attacking Arsenal, instead of attacking Man United's away record, by the way, I'm going to update it on the screen for you all right now when we look at the away form. Man United have been ridiculed in the last few days for theirs. We've actually dropped down to 7th tonight because because Brighton won away from home, but we were 5th earlier on. Liverpool sit down there in 12th on 13 points. And there's Liverpool journalists and Liverpool pundits online in the mainstream media criticizing Man United's away form. We haven't been great, but we're at the beginning of a rebuild. We're 7 months in. You should be at the peak of your powers. £2 billion into your spending on players' salaries and agent fees. Premier League winners, Champions League winners, quad challengers last year, and there's no talk. You will barely see Jurgen Klopp spoken about on TalkSport tonight. And I use TalkSport as a yardstick because it's listened to. Every show at TalkSport is listened to by millions of people on radio. Forget what you see on social media. Millions of people on the radio listen to it. It's influential. And I won't criticize him. The focus will all be on Chelsea. And with Chelsea, I saw a little bit of hope tonight. I did. I saw a team with Kante back in this. By the way, Chelsea dropped off when Kante went off. Kante was class on the grass tonight. Brilliant. If they can get him back, let's talk about Man United going in for him in the summer. And what I saw tonight, I wouldn't mind a little bit of that. He looked brilliant. They need a killer. They need some killers up front. The midfield tonight of Enzo, Kovacic, and Kante was brilliant, I felt. Defensively, they didn't really get trouble too much. Koulibaly's got to go. But Fofana had a good game. I actually thought Cucurella had, in my opinion, his best game in a Chelsea shirt tonight. I thought he was really good. Maybe I'm judging it on his Chelsea standards, but it was a good performance. Add another centre back into that. Throw some proper attackers into, and I say proper attackers because João Felix is why I always call out eye test merchants. João Felix is an eye test merchant's dream. He's all about ability. There is zero end product with this guy. This man will take a girl out to the best restaurant. He'll buy her an amazing bag. He'll turn up with flowers before they go out. The food will be great. He'll pay the bill. He'll get a taxi home. He'll make her laugh on the sofa. They'll sip and drink wine together. And they crawl into bed. Flop. That's João Felix. Man's got he got the moves like Jagger. But man can't get stiff. Man can't penetrate. Man cannot finish anything off. Friend zone footballer. The ability of João Felix is amazing. However, I wouldn't say don't keep him. You've got to bring in a killer around him. You stick João Felix in the City team around Haaland. Woo! Woo! That's serious. But Chelsea, there's some hope in this team. They need to bring a permanent manager in now. They cannot be waiting until the end of the season. They're not going to finish in the top 4. We know this. But they can at least build some confidence as they go into that summer. And it's important. There is no such thing as dead rubbers for Chelsea. They have to build some confidence going into the summer to give their fans some hope. These players should be playing for their careers, even if they were signed in January. Standards have got to be put into that football club again because it's become a little bit lackadaisical. When you look at Chelsea and what they've been renowned for, it's what you've got to look at. And I mean what I say about João Felix. There's a player in there, but there's no end product. Listen, you've got to have end product as a footballer. But the midfield 3 tonight looked great. Fofana, Cucurella. I even thought Chilwell and Reece James were all right. Reece James still looks a bit sluggish to me. And I'm going to be a little bit offensive. He looks like he's carrying a few pounds still. Slim up a little bit. Maybe it's just the lighting. Maybe it's the blue shirt or something. I don't quite know. But for me, yeah, I did call João Felix a beta. Rumor has it he is. But look, at the end of the day, it was a snore fest of a game. But Liverpool should be the ones that are most embarrassed, in my view, because of who your manager is, who you have in your squad, and that last 20 minutes, too scared to lose that they didn't go for the win. And that is not Liverpool. That is not Jurgen Klopp even. That team isn't playing for this manager. Maybe it will turn around in the summer with an injection of new players, but there is a disconnect. There is a disconnect. There's no zip. There's no movement. People can say all they want that it's a shit team. They're only right now, what, 7, 8 months older than 9 months older, I suppose, than a team that nearly won the quad. And you threw Gakpo and Darwin Núñez into this. They shouldn't be this bad. The drop off is too severe. There's a disconnect. How do I know this? Because I've been watching football for too long. Far too long. Seen it before. And I know certain Liverpool fans don't want to challenge Jurgen Klopp. I understand that because you love him. But if you're putting Jurgen Klopp above your club, I'm challenging you as a Liverpool fan. I don't believe you're a Liverpool fan. No football fan ever puts a player or a manager above their club. You can't. I'm not saying call for him to be sacked, but the man needs challenging. It's 2 games running where he's got it wrong. The higher line continues to be exposed. And I said it earlier on in the video, Arsenal, if you give them these opportunities on Sunday, will they're going to draw and quarter you. Guy Fawkes settings, hung, drawn, and quartered in public. If Trent plays against Martinelli and they give him as much space as Kai Havertz was afforded tonight, the boy is getting circumcised live on television on a Sunday afternoon. Legitimately circumcised. Jesus against Van Dijk or Konate or Matip, with the space that Liverpool allow attackers to have and the room in behind. And remember, the only Liverpool player tonight that walks away with any ounce of credibility again is Alisson Becker. Has to be their player of the year. But when your goalkeeper is your player of the year, it is the sign of embarrassment. I think David De Gea won it about 4 or 5 times at Man United. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. It's embarrassment. Should never be winning it. Ever. Goalies should never be winning it. But they are. And again, that's safe from Kai Havertz. I mean, Kai Havertz should be scoring. I mean, that guy. Legitimately. I swear to God tonight, if he got taken out on the town to a brothel, it was all bought and paid for, he'd still foul. He'd still foul to score. Even if it was paid for. It'd ruin it. And he did score. I thought, oh, it deflected and went in. And even that hit his hand. Honestly, it was a horrible watch tonight as a football fan. I understand it a little bit with Chelsea, the turmoil, the managerial changes, but it's crazy. So we're gonna go to some of the super chats. Then Hassam's gonna come out. Then we've got a brilliant panel for you tonight. So stay with the terrace. Hit the like buttons right now, though, and remember, by the way, record numbers today on the top 6 podcast on Spotify. I can give you the exact number of downloads. I don't know how this compares to other podcasts because I don't have their analytics, but today alone, just under 3,000 downloads on Spotify. So I'm so humbled that so many of you are doing it. Get yourselves across and get listening. You scan the QR code or click the link in the live comments section now, please, people.